Hi, welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Bot Brat for short. I'm with a Box. So I've got a new album review today. This is the 24th studio album by British metal titans SAXON, Hellfire and Damnation. Good day for heavy metal actually. Judas Priest dropped a new song today as well, which is really good. Check it out. Really liked the last SAXON album, Carpe Diem. Thought it was one of the best. That was actually released in February 2 years ago. Well, 2 years in February. So this one's come out pretty sharpish, and I think this is intended to be released later in the year, but because they have the arena tour coming up with Judas Priest and Uriah Heep, they decided to get this out. Not a rush job, but fairly sprung on us. The other thing with this album is it marks the debut of Brian Tatler, formerly of Diamond Head, so you may be aware that Paul Quinn, the great Paul Quinn, decided to step aside from touring, retire. Originally, the word was that, or the kind of statement from the band was that he'd still be involved in, writing, playing in some capacity. But it seems things have moved on since then. Now, Quinn does play a little bit on this album. I've spotted one solo, which I'll come to. But it seems to have just gone ahead, really, with Brian Tatler as a co-writer and full band member. And I think it's a good choice. Brian Tatler's got a legacy in a new wave of British heavy metal. Whenever I see him interviewed, he seems a really lovely guy. And I think that's the most important thing for a band at this stage of their career, is just getting someone who knows the crack and someone to get on with. It's a shame about the Paul Quinn thing, but it is what it is. These guys are now nearing their early 70s. Well, Paul Quinn, yeah, he's over 70, so is Biff. They've got decisions to make. It seems Paul Quinn has gone off on tour to Japan with another band he's got, so maybe he's had a change of heart. But SAXON's one of those bands that has an intense schedule. The level SAXON are at means, although they can obviously go out and play good sized venues, earn a good living, they kind of have to be doing this every 2 years. They're not like a bigger band like a Priest, for example, or obviously Maiden, where you can mothball the operation for a few years, because bands have stories to pay, they've got retainers to pay, and all those other things. So being in SAXON, I imagine, is intense. First thing to say about this album, I really like the album title. I love the artwork. I think this is absolutely SAXON's best album cover since Crusade. A lovely kind of centralised composition, very much like biblical pictures or battle pictures. A nice combination, grey hue and that SAXON logo standing proud in red. SAXON, you've got to hand it to them. It's that thing, Destiny aside, maybe Solid Ball of Rock, a bit of variation there. They always had the logo really clear and proudly displayed, and that's such an important part of heavy metal culture. It's an important thing for, I think, for young bands to recognise. Once you've got your logo, just stick with it, don't change it. Do not change your logo. Look at Iron Maiden, look at SAXON. So the album opens with The Prophecy. This is a kind of atmospheric thing with a spoken word intro by Brian Blessed. So SAXON are quite well known for kind of having a filler little instrumentals at the start of their albums that are usually, Gothic Dreams off Unleash the Beast. And often this is just kind of add a bit of extra time, or in the case of this album, if you've got 9 tracks, full tracks, well, it makes 10. I think this is better than the usual, fairer than that. Basically, it goes all out to be a bit Spinal Tap. And obviously, Brian Blessed, those of you who are aware of the great actor Brian Blessed, here Flash Gordon fame, Gordon's alive, does a fantastic job. Then it goes into the title track, Hellfire and Damnation, so you may have already heard this track. What comes immediately apparent is Brian Tatler slots right in. It doesn't feel like there's anything missing. The guitar sounds are really crunchy. A really heavy track, but very melodic. Definitely right up there with the top SAXON album openers in recent times. The production mixing by Andy Sneap is its usual excellent self. So SAXON have really hit on a kind of refreshed formula, really, in the last few albums. Going back to Sacrifice, Battering Ram, those first albums they did with Andy Sneap at the helm. So excellent track. Next up is Madden Guillotine. This has got quite a nice staccato octave riff, kind of reminds me of a slower Megadeth type of riff. 5 minutes 25. This is about the French Revolution. He manages to get Marie Antoinette into the lyric. I like this one, not as much as the title track, but it is good. The riffs kind of feels a little different for SAXON. Again, it works well. Then you've got Fire and Steel. This one kind of does what it says on the tin. I'm just going to look at my notes here. I've got here decent fillet double kick drum, you know, so the double kick drum comes in here. It's a typical metal track. It's 3 minutes 38. It's actually the shortest track on the album, so it doesn't outstay its welcome. So not a great track, but solid enough. Then you've got There's Something in Roswell. Again, this is about you know, the alien artifacts allegedly found in Roswell, New Mexico. Again, that top thing with Biff's lyrics. He's not, you know, he's not skirting around. He's not writing a song about Roswell, but being cryptic. It's like, no, this is about Roswell. I like this again. I don't think it's great. It's not as good a single as the Hellfire and Damnation, but it's another good track. You know, it's pretty cool. I quite like the lyric idea. And then you've got Kubla Khan and The Merchant of Venice, probably the biggest mouthful of a title Saxon have ever had. I didn't realise The Merchant of Venice and Kubla Khan were connected. He mentioned Xana doing the lyrics. Yeah, this is, again, it's a sort of Saxon historical epic. It's got a really melodic chorus, double kick drum again. I don't think this is one of the best tracks, but it is good. He mentions the Silk Road and Chinese history as well, so pretty cool. And then you've got Pirates of the Airwaves. So it's weird, when I first read this title I knew what it would be about, and of course it's about the great offshore radio stations in the 1960s, Radio Caroline, Radio Luxembourg, the principal two. These were such a great outlet for young music fans in the 60s because they played the rock music and what they hear. Obviously you just had the BBC that was staid and conservative, so a lot of DJs got their start on Radio Caroline and Luxembourg, and Biff celebrates this in fine style. This is one of the best tracks on the album. It's really rocking. It's got a really anthemic chorus. You know, although I didn't listen to those stations, I listened to Friday Rocks, and it captures that spirit of listening to radio and hearing great tunes. So I really like this one. 3 minutes 37, again, the second shortest track. Next track is called 1066. I wonder what that could be about. I read Jeff Barton's review of this album. It was a bit mean, I thought. But there was an interview with Biff Byford in Classic Rock, and it said, how come it's taking him this long to write about the Battle of Hastings? This is a cool track. I've got this at 10 out of 10. So this has got a really chugging 12/8 riff. Kind of the tempo reminds me of a very obscure metal track. I know, a song in Tribute to King Diamond by the band Cage, incidentally. But really good, chunky riffing. Then you've got Witches of Salem. This has got a kind of slower 12/8 groove. I'm just looking here. It's kind of staccato. It kind of recalls that, not that dun 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 dun, dun of Hungry Years, but imagine that kind of evolved, that kind of tempo and feel, but in a more gritty way. Quite a cool lyric on a See the Flames of Bigotry. I think that's pretty poetic from Biff. Again, really good track. It's 5 minutes and 12. And then the album finishes with Supercharger. Again, this is kind of more of a typical Saxon, you know, motor car track. It wouldn't be a Saxon album if it didn't have something about cars or some kind of machinery. But it's catchy, really catchy chorus. Paul Quinn definitely does a solo break on this after Doug Scarrett. So overall, I mean, going through this album, I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of caught between giving it a kind of 7 or an 8. I'm probably going to give it a 7.5. I don't think it's as good as Carpe Diem. I think that was a really, really excellent record. But the albums before it, Thunderbolt and Battering Ram, I think it's in line with those. You could pick or choose what you prefer. I haven't listened to it enough yet to make a total assessment. But Saxon just don't make bad albums to me. They may make lesser albums sometimes. They may have too many films, but there's always good tracks on there. So I think Paul Quinn is a miss. When he cut loose with his solo, the one I spotted, and I think there's another one on there, you can hear the quality of his solo. I'm not massive on Doug Scarrett's solo, and all his riffing's excellent. I think Brian Tatler fits in quite well. He tries to sort of be quite melodic and differentiate himself from Scarrett. But what made Paul Quinn stand out as a lead player was his strong vibrato and his kind of use of guitarists will know. He kind of has this way of using a pentatonic major scale that just kind of made him kind of stand out a little bit. So that aside, the production's good. I always feel Saxon, Andy Snoop does a great job, although it never sounds as good as Accept or a Judas Priest, but it's good. They've got a good package together. And the album's 42 minutes long. It doesn't outstay its welcome. So yeah, if you're looking for a new album to check out, some good traditional metal, then Hellfire and Damnation certainly ticks boxes. So I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.